again, Joel, Bisaya reader, and thank you so much for watching my video. And for today, I'm going to present to you the books that I've read for the month of June 2020. So for the month of June 2020, I've read total of 7 books. All of these are adult, and for the genres, one is historical fiction and the rest are science fiction fantasy. So the first one is going to be, actually the first 4 that I finished reading on June are graphic novels. These are from the books that I've finished reading when I joined the graphic novel readathon hosted by Ate Jane, Books and Jane on Instagram. We were obliged to read 4 graphic novels for the month of June, and I was really happy to be part of that readathon. Thank you so much, Ate. And yeah, I've read 4 graphic novels. The first one is going to be Skyward, Volume 1. This is an adult science fiction graphic novel, and actually new, and it's ongoing. And I did not really like it. I did not really enjoy reading this one. I do have high hope for this. I do believe that it has a lot of potentials, but it was not able to deliver the things I really expect from it. It wasn't able to deliver the things I really love from a graphic novel. Maybe I was just really picky or choosy, but I was not really happy reading that one. It is a story where we're following our main character in this dystopian or post-apocalyptic world where Earth does not have gravity anymore. The story where we're following main character, she lives in the world where if you don't have a grav boots, if you're not attached to the ground, you'll eventually also float to outer space and die. And what I don't really love about this book is because of the main character. She easily gets things that she wants, and she is this typical arrogant teenager that is really unlikable, and she's flawed, but at the same time she easily gets away from the mess, which is kinda unrealistic. So it's a type of trope that I don't really love. It's the type of trope that I'm not gravitated towards. And when it comes to the dialogue, it was really cheesy, and it feels like it was written by a high school, no offense to high school writers. The next book I've read is the second volume. I thought it was better than the first volume. The world was explored. The world was established more, but aside from the world building, there's no character development. I actually just gave up after reading the second volume. I gave the first volume 2 stars. I gave the second volume 3 star. I'm actually originally planning to read the 3rd volume for the readathon, but again, I gave up after reading the second volume. So I switched to Saga. I read volume 8. I don't want to tell you more about what happened on volume 8, but I gave it 5 stars, and then after that I read volume 9 of Saga. I gave it 9 stars. Oh, sorry, 5 stars also. If you're wondering what the story of Saga is, we have these 2 empires in the galaxy who have been in war for centuries now. We have the people with wings and the people with horns. The people with wings have these advancement in technology. They are really techy. While on the other hand, the people with horns rely more of their power from magic. So they have been on war, technology versus magic. And during this war, there's a soldier from a girl from people with wings and a guy from people with horns, and they fell in love during this war, and they had a baby, and the baby actually have a horn and a wing. And the 2 emperors were able to discover that, and it was illegal. So 2 emperors just ran after this couple and this kid, which are basically our main characters. So we are following our main character, a father and a mother and a baby, which is a baby combination of 2 races, running for their lives and trying to save their family from these 2 emperors who are at their tails. And yeah, it is Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings meets Game of Thrones in outer space. If you want to check that, it's really graphic, it's really violent. There's a lot of main characters that are going to die. It's not a spoiler. Just like Game of Thrones, you get to love this character. It was being built really, really well, and suddenly it just died. So expect that on Saga. And yeah, it was really good. It was also very graphic when it comes to sexual content. So I'm warning you, if you're not into sexual content, like it's a graphic novel, so you're able to see parts of the characters, like the private parts. There's no censorship in them. Now, to the 5th book I've read in the month of June is going to be James S. A. Corey's Leviathan, which is the first book of the Expanse series. This is an adult science fiction. It's probably one of the most surprising reads I've read this year. Jace S. Car is a pseudonym for two authors. One of the author here is actually a personal assistant of George R. R. Martin, the author of Game of Thrones. This is a really good read. I expect that it's going to be good because it was really hyped in social media. A lot of people are really recommending this to me, so I expect it's going to be really good, but I did not really expect it will be that good. It actually exceeded my expectation. This is a story where we're following a crew who are from the Belters. We have these three major communities in the solar system: the Belters, the Earthers, and the Martians. They are actually all humans. Our crew here, our main characters, actually started a fuel and sparked the war between these three nations. It's a story full of thriller, full of action. The conspiracies are also amazing. So if you're looking for a Game of Thrones story set on outer space, I highly suggest you need to check this one out. And also, you're going to love the characters. The next book I've read for the month of June 2020 is going to be The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This is an adult fantasy and probably one of the best books I've read this year. We are following a main character, Tao, as he's trying to have his revenge story, because there's a thing here that happened in the book which I'm not allowed to say so that you won't be spoiled. But basically, this is a revenge story of our main character against the people that wronged him. The magic system here is kind of unique. It's something I haven't read before, haven't encountered before. It was inspired from a African folklore. There will be a lot of dragons here, so if you want to read a book with dragons, it's not a story that just use dragons to bait readers. It's actually a story where dragons play a really vital role on how the story ends or how the story goes. And yeah, the magic system was great set of characters, really memorable story. The plot twist I did not really expect. I was actually emotional at some point of the in the book, especially towards the end. It was really good. It was really fast paced in the end, full of action, full of magic. It will not disappoint you. If you're looking for a book, adult fantasy book that will give you a lot of good entertainment, I highly suggest you need to pick this one up. I give this 5 stars, by the way. Next is the last book I've read for the month of March, and this is going to be Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I've been planning to read this book for a very long time now. I've heard a lot of good things about this. It's really hyped and really loved on social media. I finally got a copy a couple of weeks ago from Atis Del Hilar at Bacolod Book Sale. Check that store. I got this for a very cheap price, hardcover, perfect condition. Thank you so much, Atis Del. Where the Crawdads Sing is we're following our main character, Kaya, in this historical fiction story / contemporary fiction. I am not really sure if it's historical fiction. This is a story of Kaya, our main character. She's a girl being was abandoned by her family. When I talk about family, her entire family. She's the youngest of all the siblings. Her mother abandoned her. Her older sisters, her older brothers abandoned her. She was left with her father, and her father abandoned her. So she's a 6-year-old girl living in the marsh somewhere in North Carolina in the US, and she lives all by herself at 6 years old. And we are following this main character as she tries to survive. She is really isolated. She does not know how to read nor write. She tried to go to the school because she was attempted to be rescued by a social worker, but she was being bullied, so she stopped going to school. So she just tried her best to teach herself how to read and how to write. She is surrounded by animals in the marsh, and she considered these birds, these animals in the marsh that she's been with as her family. She goes to the town, which is really far from her house, to do some barter, so the things that she harvests from the marsh for a fuel. She do some fishing. She actually, at the age of 6 up until she grew up, lived all by herself, like all by herself. So you just have to imagine how lonely she is. You just have to imagine how, I don't know, all the emotions that you can imagine when you hear that synopsis. This is full. She's being. We're following our main characters, and she's being discriminated, being abandoned, and yeah, you just really can't stop loving her. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. And Kaya, the main character, is going to be part of the list up there, together with Evelyn Hugo, together with Sayset from Miss Boar, as one of those characters that I will always remember for the rest of my life. Because if you're going to read this book, you can't really stop yourself loving Kaya, or you just really have to stop yourself not to look for Kaya and hug her, because you can't hug her because she's a fictional character. But if she is a real character, I could probably look for some ways to meet her in person and hug her because she deserves a hug. She deserves a mad respect. And this is a really heartbreaking, really emotional story. And what I do like about the story, even though it's a historical fiction slash contemporary fiction, there seems to be a problem with the slow pacing on the story because of the genre. But again, the author was able to put a twist to it to improve the pacings. It doesn't sound or feel like very dragging, very slow. She added a mystery or murder mystery thriller. So it's in the synopsis, it's not a spoiler. Basically, our main character Kaya, also called by the people from the town as the March Girl, was a suspect of this murder because the person who was being murdered is the murder scene actually happened really near on Kaya's place, Kaya's house in the marsh, and she was the closest suspect. And yeah, there was a trial, and there's this murder mystery that who killed who was Kaya really the one murdered the person, or there's a foul play to it. Just really have to read and discover it. And prepare your tissues. It will make her cry. I cried so hard, and probably this is the second book that made me cry this year after Our Town by Thorfinn Wilder. I was really happy I was able to read this. I read this in 2 days. I think only 2 days, but it was really good. If you're planning to read this or if you're planning to pick this or read this as soon as possible because it's really a story or a book that everyone needs to read. So yeah, that's it guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the likes button, subscribe, leave some comments down below if you've read some of those books that I presented. I'm more than happy to discuss with you guys. How about you? How many books have you read this month? Yeah, thank you so much. My name again is Joel, and keep safe. Bye bye.